Well, hello there. How are you going today? Hope everything is fine and dandy in your part of this strange realm. And yes, it's time to take another wander through this crazy place we find ourselves in. And yes, it does not seem to be slowing down. 2026 seems to be building up to be quite a whopper of a year. And we've gone back to the moon, didn't you know? And it's all real.
In a matter of hours, humanity is about to make history. And if you don't lock in now, you might literally miss it. Today, not only will these 4 astronauts set the record for the furthest humans have ever been away from Earth, but they are about to see parts of the far side of the moon that no humans have ever seen before in real life. And yes, right on cue, even Netflix have announced they will be streaming this historic moment. Now, probably one of the coolest parts about their roughly 6-hour flyby is that they will be the only humans in existence today to be witnessing a total solar eclipse, because for them only the moon will be blocking out the sun. But there's also a pretty scary part about that as well, because it creates this approximately 40-minute window where they will be completely out of contact with mission control. They will be alone, silently drifting through space for nearly an hour. However, they will be very busy during this time because they've been tasked with taking a whole bunch of images and videos of areas that were too dark or too difficult to be seen in previous missions. I mean, they've even got iPhones on board to do this. This is the exact time when the live streams begin, so make sure you don't miss it.
Well, I wonder if they'll be calling the president on one of those iPhones. I mean, this is a crazy story. I mean, and people get so excited about it, right? About space travel and going to the moon until they look into things like NASA. But it's very interesting that this happened on April Fool's Day. They took another photo of the world, or picture. I think they call it an image, actually, right? The first one in like 30 plus years or 50 plus years, which was also taken on April Fool's Day. So crazy. But the craziest thing about this is they're trying to, propagandize us with this fuel shortage and energy crisis. Yet they've got enough fuel to send a rocket, apparently, right, to the moon. Tell me what you think about this. Do you believe any of it? Let me know your thoughts.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
So did I accidentally ask a deeper question than I meant to?
Yeah, no, you were meant to ask deep questions.
Apparently I was.
In life. So
you to debate one of them flat earth guys.
No, I don't. I can't. No.
I know. We talked about it, and we were going to have him on Skype.
No, that is something that should not be debated. Does not belong in front of an audience getting debated.
Only 64% are convinced that the world is a ball. The world is a circle, that the world is a spheroid? Only 64% are convinced that the world is a ball.
So we're a pear-shaped oblate spheroid.
Thanks for enlightening us, Neil. We are a pear-shaped oblate spheroid. That's the shape of the Earth, apparently. But like I said, NASA just took a photo of the Earth, and it is not a pear-shaped oblate spheroid. Someone's lying here.
So I've got a question. So you know how we've just had this breathtaking picture sent back from the astronauts on Artemis, the first picture of the Earth in 54 years taken by humans, and it's a real picture. It's not CGI and it's not photoshopped at all. The astronauts took this picture themselves with their own camera. So my question is, where's all the satellites? If you Google how many satellites are in Earth's orbit, it tells you thousands upon thousands of them, and it shows you a picture of how Earth looks from space today in comparison to in the 70s or 80s, because there was no satellites back then, and basically you can hardly see the Earth for satellites. So did the astronauts just ask the satellites to move out the way a wee bit? Budge up so I can take my picture. Where's all the satellites in this picture?
Yay. What are all the satellites in that picture? That was a very bad impression of Scottish. I wasn't sure what language she was speaking, but she started. That's a thick Scottish accent, but she is very right. Where are all the satellites? Things are not adding up here. But let me know, what are your thoughts? Where are all the satellites? Do you believe in satellites? Do you believe in outer space? Or do you think that maybe satellites are just, surveillance equipment hung underneath big balloons? Called satelloons because NASA is the biggest consumer of helium in the world.
Almost all of the most famous ancient monuments sit on this ring like an ancient equator around the planet. There's like way weirder stuff than this too. There's this rock in Lebanon called the Stone of the Pregnant Woman. It would take this many cranes today to move that thing. But whoever built this could do it so easily. They didn't just do it once, they didn't do it 2 or 3 times. They did it for the entire foundation of the temple. So we try and figure out how they did it, dig deeper, and we find even bigger stones underneath. Meanwhile, Greece, a 2,000-year-old computer was found in a shipwreck off the coast of a tiny island. Listen to this.
It brought back the history of technology to a much earlier time. We've had to rethink the history of technology completely as a result of this single object.
Now we're just seeing crazy similarities between our tech and temple architecture and the floor plans. Even the symbols they use appear to have some technological connotation. Now we're seeing that they might all have been talking about the same thing. If our civilization hadn't progressed this far, we would not have the tools to measure the precision from Egypt to China. And if you think about it, those would really be the only technological clues we'd have from civilizations we've had to dig out of the ground if they weren't sunk under the ocean. We have over 200 global flood myths from around the world. When we model this stuff, what we see in the models is exactly what we see from the air in spots that allegedly got washed away or swallowed by the waters. But after all that and the mountain of anomalies we're now working with, we still treat the reports of these guys as conspiracy. That's from the same people that say this is progress, while the best explanation for a rich culture with an art-covered wonderland is ritual. You decide what the real conspiracy is.
How did they move all the stones, right? The massive stones everywhere, like Baalbek and the Trilithon and the Ural Mountains in Russia. There's heaps of them. They're in Egypt as well, right? Everywhere. How did they do this? How did they move them? Right, without machinery, without modern machinery, apparently. I would say with technology, right? Probably some kind of magnetic technology where you reverse the poles, right? And then you get levitation. You just push things around. I don't know. That's a concept. It's an idea. But please, let me know your thoughts. How did they do all the ancient megaliths?
Do you have to be Chinese to wear this?
You don't have to. Anybody can wear.
What prompted you to make that video?
Yeah, I made that video to prove anti-white ivory tower professors like the one in your studio wrong. This video and the others that I've made like it with Native Americans, with Mexicans, with the Chinese you just watched are irrefutable evidence that people like that professor are exactly wrong on cultural appropriation. I've seen people get offended by braids and say braids are a black people thing and white people can't wear braids. It's called a Dutch braid. It was from back in Nordic times, old Nordic times, with white people, with Vikings would wear braids, yet people want to come and claim that it's some part of their culture now. No, you can't claim that something is just a part of your culture either. It's for people to share and celebrate and use so you can actually have a society that is cohesive and works together as a melting pot, not all these different groups that can't work together because everyone's so offended. The only people who are actually offended by cultural appropriation don't really have anything else of meaning going on in their lives, it seems.
Yes. The woke brigade, the cultural appropriation. What do you think about this? Are you offended? I think it's silly, like you said. All of these different, parts of our culture, different aspects, they've all come from a previous civilization, most probably, right? And the story of culture that we have of these unbroken lines is all lies. None of it's real anyway. But people just get so offended because they want, that's how they want to live, right? They want to live by telling other people how to do, by telling other people what they should do, right? Pointing the finger outwards while never looking at themselves. And all these people, if their lives are always in shambles, because they live in a world where all they do is point out and try and see the wrong in life. And when you do that, when you try and see the wrong and the bad in life, guess what? That's what you see.
You think everything's gonna stay normal when more and more truths start coming out about pedos and the Schmepstein and shit like that? Like, that is just the beginning. The world hasn't seen shit yet. You think people are gonna keep going to school once they realize that it's not real? Do you think people are gonna keep going into work when they realize that the financial system is the biggest fraudulent system to have ever been created? I know you know this. I know you're like, I've been waiting for this shit to happen. I've been getting called crazy for 2 decades. I know. You've been so patient, and I'm so proud of you. We have no idea how this is all gonna play out. Like they say in my language, attache ta tuque tabarnak parce que ça va brasser.
I have no idea what happened at the end of that, but I do agree with her. I agree that all this stuff that's going on at the moment that they're putting out as fear is actually opportunity, right? If there's no energy, like if they start cutting energy, well, we're going to have to build our own free energy, ether energy devices. If they're going to cut the fuel and make it too expensive to use, we're going to have to start creating our own fuel sources, right? There's that guy who's created plastiline. There's oil, used oil. If you've got a diesel, there's hydrogen. That we've already got all these solutions, guys. Schooling, right? People are going to homeschool, create their own schools. All of this kind of stuff. The food system, we're going to start growing our own food again and getting food sovereignty. So I think, all this stuff that's happening, if we see it and use it as an opportunity to step further into the new world that we all want, then I say it's a good thing. Bring it on. But let me know your thoughts. What do you think about all this energy crisis talk that's going on?
Check this out. Leftover drinks from discarded paper cups were being resold during a T20 World Cup match in Delhi. You can see the guy here pouring the leftover Pepsi from cups that were discarded back into the bottle that he then uses to pour into new cups as people come up and get a drink. Now, this is beyond shocking, really. Like, they're probably reusing the cups as well. Unbelievable.
Well, that's just gross. I don't know how he's recarbonating it. Is it still fizzy? But again, this is just another thing that we can use to not consume things like Pepsi and Coke and soft drink in general and all their poisons, right? And this is not, I wouldn't put it past the food industries and all these places and venues to be doing this for the last who knows how long, right? Decades. God knows what the food there is. But it's just another, like I said, another sign, another opportunity for us to change our ways and our habits and to avoid the poisonous food chain once and for all.
What if Earth once supported trees so large we've mistaken their remains for mountains? There's a theory that long before recorded history, Earth was covered in colossal trees, not forests as we know them, but towering structures that reached into the sky. And according to ancient texts, their destruction may have changed the world forever. One of the most controversial sources tied to this idea is the Book of Enoch. In this text, there are descriptions of a world that existed before a great flood. A world inhabited by giants, often referred to as the Nephilim, being said to be massive in size and immense in strength. Some interpretations claim these giants were sustained by enormous trees so vast they were described as reaching toward the heavens. The text goes on to describe a catastrophic event. The trees were cut down, the land was broken open, and water poured both from above and from below the earth. Supporters of the giant tree theory connect this description to a strange phenomenon we still observe today. When modern trees are cut down and their roots reach underground water systems, water can suddenly rush upward, sometimes violently. Now imagine that process scaled up, trees thousands of feet tall, root systems extending deep into the earth, and hundreds of these structures being destroyed at once. The result wouldn't be a simple flood. It would be a global catastrophe. Some theorists believe this is why ancient cultures across the world preserve flood myths, not as metaphors, but as memory.
do you believe in giant trees? What do you think? All these messes that are all across the world, they're everywhere. They look exactly like giant tree stumps. And the book of Enoch says that the angels came and cut them down. Interesting. I thought angels were good. And that caused the flood. But I guess God sent the angels, God sent the flood, right? Is this how the flood, the great flood happened? Is this what caused the mud flood maybe? Because you can search, water coming from trees, and there's videos everywhere. When they cut trees down, all this water pops out. So is that what happened? We got literal rivers and things coming out, because the other question is, how come all streams come out of the top of mountains, right? That they might be giant trees, at least the stumps of them. How does that work? How does the pressure push the water up through a mountain? Like, just how did it get created, right? It's an interesting question. And that's where all the fresh water comes from, right? So, where did the oceans used to be lower? We know this. Is this all tied in? Is this how the ocean levels rose because all this water came out? Is this the difference between fresh water and salt water, prime water, because the trees are grabbing it from way down below where there's prime water? Many, many questions, but please let me know your thoughts below. And thank you for spending some time with me, guys. I hope you're enjoying the video. Please do give me a like if you're enjoying it, share it around, hype it up, all that good stuff. And don't forget to make sure you're subscribed.
The massive limbs that did petrify are buried under the hills in the mountains and right in plain sight, though most of us would never notice. Take a look at this video of a gentleman walking alongside this mountain, showing that the whole thing is in fact a giant.
So really quick, I'm going to show you this, how the trees are fibers, and for some reason this shows the true color. A big chunk of this just fell off. See part of the grain. This is the way the fibers are right here. See? Hold on a second. And you see it's nothing but wood. Okay, so we're going to go down over here and I'll show you a little more. Okay, see here, and at an angle. Okay, all this, everything, this whole mountain in a 100-mile radius, come right over here. You see, this looks just like freshly chopped wood. We peeled a piece off of there. This is what we see. This is the wood. See that? That's just got the moss on it. And all this here, all the way back up in here, I'll show you that in a second. You come right here and you see, we'll pull a piece off here. It's just wood. It's so crazy. All this. And then you go right over here. See, this is the fresh stuff. This is what we see.
Wow, that definitely looked like wood to me. What do you think? Let me know. Giant trees, they tell us everything in the past was giant. They tell us, about the giant dragonflies, the woolly mammoths, the giant sloths, everything pretty much they tell us was giant in the past. Of course, they put it hundreds of thousands or millions of years back in the past. And of course, the dinosaurs, right? They were massive, but they don't really talk about giant trees, do they? So they are kind of telling us the truth. And this is the thing. In all of the information we get, as a rule, if someone's telling you the truth, there's going to be 20% lies in it. And if someone's telling you a lie, there's going to be 20% truth in it. And this is definitely what the elites do, right? Those who wish to rule us. So they tell us everything was bigger in the past. They do, right? They just don't give us the details, and they definitely don't mention the giant trees.
I ain't in big trouble for this one. Look, most of us agree this feels like one big distraction. But what if it's not hiding something that's coming? What if it's hiding something that already happened? Stay with me. This isn't a theory. It's a question. What if something was released? Not dramatically, not all at once, not in a way anyone could easily point to, but in a way that affected most of us just enough to feel it, not enough to immediately name it. Lower energy, brain fog, strange fatigue, mood shifts, people saying, I don't feel like myself anymore. But never all at once. Never the same. Never enough to connect. And while everyone argues headlines, politics, scandals, and distractions, those experiences stay isolated. Each person thinks it's just stress, just burnout, just aging, just life, until you zoom out. Because patterns don't show up when you're staring at one data point. They show up when you're finally still enough to look at the whole picture. So what if the distraction isn't hiding the truth? What if it's keeping us from comparing notes? Because the hardest thing to see is something affecting everyone in slightly different ways. In spite of the noise, pay attention to patterns, especially the ones that feel too common to be coincidence.
Yes, well, I agree. It's a soft invasion, right? The totalitarian tiptoe, as David Icke would call it. And they have to do it this way, the slow burn, right? If they put all these big shocking changes in, people would see them and they would say no. So this is the frog in boiling water, right? Put a frog in water, in cold water, and slowly boil it, and the frog will stay in there because it doesn't sense the change that's happening, and it'll stay in there until it dies. Same concept, because if they put out big shifts, big whopping, very clear to see shifts, people would see the game so much easier. So of course they just creep it in, predictive programming, right? Get it into your subconscious mind first, and then especially is the propaganda, the fear, to get everyone talking about all this information, like men going back to the moon, and a woman, sorry, don't want to be sexist, and the energy crisis and the war. We're all looking at all this stuff that's all created and all fake, and we're not focusing on what's going on really in our lives, and ultimately we're not focusing on creating a better world for everyone.
Breaking news coming out of Israel. So the Iranian Revolutionary Guard sent a mass text to all the Israeli citizens. It says, the last American radar system in the region has been destroyed. Your government leaders are lying to you. Leave the country. Missiles are on their way. No shelter can be provided safely. Signed off, Islamic Revolutionary Guard. This is getting crazy.
Your government is lying to you. What was it that Ronald Reagan said? The scariest words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. And I think he was correct. But yeah, it's just more propaganda, more, superfluous crap for us to focus on that means nothing and is not going to affect our lives in any way, shape or form. Unless you buy into the fear, then it's going to affect it adversely. But there's nothing, we're not getting smarter by knowing all these silly facts and all these videos that come out, constantly, and all this stuff from the media. It's not improving our lives. All right. It's good to know that the agenda, the plan, for sure. And when they're going to do things, they do things. They do start wars. They did do the lockdown, right? And they are definitely trying to push that again. And we need to be aware of that, but we don't need to focus on it and give it hours and hours of our day. If you hear that there's an agenda to, cut power and resources, well, it just means that we need to become more power sovereign so we don't rely on them. All of this should be teaching us that the system is not our friend. And the more that we can get away from it and not rely on it, not have to rely on the system, the better off we are.
This is a world flight map from 1930, and look how they were flying back then. They were using the Zeppelins or the blimps or whatever you want to call them. Here's one showing a path, and they show the pictures all the way around this. And then look at this here. You go over here and across the Pacific, you have them as well. And then obviously you have your airplanes, but I'd much rather take a ride than that. Very interesting. And you can see all the different areas they would fly, whether it's by plane or by the Zeppelin. And then these are all the different places going around the bottom. I can't make it out. I think this is Chinese, the language on here. I'm not sure. You can tell me. Thought it was really neat though. They showed a lot of different areas, and different people. Like then some of the buildings they showed like that. And then like this one here is just absolutely amazing. But I have no idea where any of these are at because I can't read any of those. But these are obviously all places that you can go visit. Look how big that building is. And then they would travel up here, as you can see, to that destination, and then going down to what would have been Alaska, which was America by then. Really neat. Really, really neat. Comment, let me know what you think about that. I thought it was a really just interesting map. You can see the whole one here and just all the different areas they would travel to. Well, they did that by plane going down here. Interesting. Versus taking this. As always, thanks for following, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for being a part of this. Always stay curious. Always. Until next time.
Airships. Another thing that we know for sure existed, but they teach us nothing about in school, right? The airships are just gone. All we hear about is the Hindenburg and how they're so unsafe and scary, yet how many planes have crashed and how many people they killed, but no one banned the plane, right? But I find that all those pictures around the outside of that map very interesting because they're all old world buildings. Is that trying to show us that that's where those airships were docking? Because we have photos of airships docked on the top of buildings like the Empire State Building, right? So is this what a lot of these spires and things, towers, is that what they were? Was this infrastructure for airships, for travel? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Mate, Aussie slang is fucking wild. So calling someone a rock spider essentially means that they're a P3DO. But here's some other fun Aussie phrases you might want to use in your regular vernacular. If somebody is crazy, you would tell them that they have a roo loose in the top paddock. If something is broken and it's entirely not fixable, it's cactus. If somebody's acting the fool, you would say they're carrying on like a pork chop. If somewhere is far away, it's in whoop whoop. If someone's lying to you, you would say, don't come the raw prawn with me. If something's really full, you would say chock-a-block or full as a goog, which is like another slang term. That's a double one. A goog is like an egg. If somebody gets angry, they're cracking the shits. If somebody is unorganized, you would say, couldn't organize a route in a brothel with a fistful of 50s. If somebody is ugly, you would say they have a face like a dropped meat pie. If you're busy, you would say, I've been flat out like a lizard drinking. If you're going to take a sick day from work, but you're not actually sick, you'd be like, I'm just going to chuck a sickie. If you're looking at something, you're having a squiz. Let me know if you want to hear more. I got tons of them.
Did you know? There you go. That's my little contribution to culturalism, teaching you all about Aussie slang. Did you know any of them? Are you Aussie? Are you not? I mean, Aussies, obviously, we've heard them all. This is how we talk. This is what we've grown up with. But yeah, have you heard them if you're not from Australia land? And do you know any other ones? Leave them in the comments because there's a lot of them. We tend to just change people's names. A very strange thing that we do here is we shorten names and then we lengthen them, right? So if your name's like Warren, we'll shorten it to Was, but then we'll extend it back to Wazza. Very strange, right? I don't know why that is, but It's definitely an alive, vibrant language that we have out here in Australia. Oh, but there we go, guys. That's it. Done and dusted for another one. Hope you enjoyed that. Please leave me your comments. Let me know what you thought. Of course, don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything on the videos. This is all for entertainment purposes only. The main goal here is to think for yourself, come to your own conclusions, right? Because most of the stuff that we see, it's just perspective. It's just someone else's opinion. It's not necessarily right or wrong. So yes, come to your own opinions. And of course, make sure you give me a like if you enjoyed this video, hype it up, share it around, all that kind of good stuff. And if you're not subscribed, what the bloody hell are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. That's another word that we use a lot in Australia, right? Bloody. Bit weird, don't know why, but we use it. But anyway, stay awesome because you are, and I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Where's the teeth? Show us. Ah.